y'all already see the title of the creepypasta. So, not much has to be said by me. Y'all already know that it ain't going down. And that whatever happens to the people in this story, or the person in this story, they deserve everything if they decide to go out to these dark woods and investigate. I'm just saying, no. What's up, TBS crew? It's your boy Steph, back with another reaction. This time we have Mr. Creeps. I've been hearing a strange noise in the dark woods behind my home. Creepypasta, uploaded July 31st, 2019. Damn, even the description says don't go in the woods. That's common knowledge. That's a given. But down in the description will be links to Mr. Creeps' channel, to this original video, and to all of my social medias. Get at your boy and see the personal life that I don't upload to YouTube. Without further ado, let's get into it. Ooh, somebody gonna get got. Written by Lighthouse Horror. Shout out to you.
My wife had the accident 3 months ago. I'm alone in the house now, and the scratches are getting louder. I'm a writer, and 5 years ago, my wife Jessica and I moved to an old brick home in the country. We wanted to get away from the distractions of the city. I never told her, but I was struggling financially as well, more than she thought, and I couldn't keep the career that I had chosen if we didn't make the move. She was always supportive. I loved her.
Right.
About 2 months ago, I heard it for the first time. I was sleeping in bed on the second story of my home when I heard a faint noise in the distance. At first, I thought that I was imagining it, or dreaming. But then the noises became more pronounced. My eyes opened wearily and I stared up at the ceiling fan as I began to discern the sounds in the distance. It was almost as if someone was slowly scratching a sharp object up and down against a rock. Something metallic, or maybe some type of animal. I listened as the sound continued. That first night, the slow sound of scratching would last for a few seconds, and then stop for a minute or so before picking back up again. After a few minutes, it finally stopped completely. I was still somewhat anxious, but a shot of whiskey took care of that for the most part.
You need to move ASAP.
The second night, it happened again.
See?
In fact, every night for 2 months now, I can hear the noise coming from the trees on my property. I've spent hours on end searching online for different noises of animals.
Yeah,
figuring it could be some type of rodent chewing on a pipe.
What?
I even recorded the noises, but nothing seems to match it. There's something else too. The scratching is getting faster and more vigorous. The first week, it would last for a few seconds, and then there would be a minute or two of silence. Now when I listen, the sounds are much more rapid and continue on for nearly an hour.
Get a picture of it or video.
And then in a moment, they stop. Just like that. Last night, I'd finally had enough. Lying in bed, I quickly stood up, grabbing my shotgun from the corner.
There you go.
I took a swig of Jack.
Got that heat.
And I headed out towards the woods and the scratching. Maybe I shouldn't have.
Don't press your luck, though.
The moon hung over the green hills surrounding the forest, but as I took my first step into the tall pines, the safety of its light disappeared completely. Luckily, I had already taped a flashlight on top of the barrel a few nights back. Somehow I knew that the noise wasn't going to stop. And tonight, I finally had enough courage to do something about it. Following the gravel path my wife had helped me make years earlier, I listened closely. Each step seemed to further intensify the sounds, and I would be lying if I told you I didn't think about turning back. But I kept following, and I was getting closer.
Curious, right?
Until finally, the noise was only a few feet away. The scratching was almost deafening now, Each small step forward seemed to send whatever it was into almost a frenzy. Picking up a large stone that had been set on a thick sheet of plywood, I pushed the plywood aside, took a deep breath, and I pointed the beam of the flashlight down into the darkness of the old well
You
at
gonna
the
get
edge of
got.
the woods. The scratching stopped. I peered down further into the blackness, and I saw that the well was almost completely dry at the bottom. It hadn't rained in weeks. The depth made it nearly impossible to see, but there was something down there. As my eyes adjusted, I saw the faint outline of two yellow eyes staring back up at me. As I looked down into them, I realized that something was very wrong,
I bet.
and an unmistakable feeling of dread came over me. Rushing to close back up the top of the well, I suddenly realized what the sound had been this whole time. I watched as the creature rapidly tried to claw its way up the side towards me. The scratching had been its attempt to get out. Before I could close it, the thing clawed its way halfway up the side, before falling back down into the darkness. Standing silently over the well, I observed the creature down below. Its yellow eyes never left mine, and I watched it claw its way rapidly up the side of the stone in a desperate attempt to reach me. I came to my senses and I put the heavy plywood back on top, covering the top of the well completely.
Where that strap at though?
This time I weighed it down with as many stones as I could find. What the hell was this thing?
Might have to take his head off.
And what the hell was I supposed to do now?
Shoot.
I listened as the scratching slowed to the pace it had been before. Maybe the creature's frantic attempts at freedom, or attacking me, had taken a toll on its energy. Before I could think further, I felt a piercing pain in my left ankle. I yelled out in agony and I fell backwards onto the thick bushes that surrounded the well.
Oh, man.
I couldn't see what had bitten me in the late night, and I suddenly realized that I had dropped the shotgun and flashlight in a moment of surprise. Putting pressure on the leg wound with one hand, I used the other to grasp onto anything I could in an attempt to get myself back to my feet. As I finally managed to stand, I felt the same pain as I had moments ago, but this time it was worse. I let out a scream as my hands used all their strength to try and pull the small creature off of my leg, but its fangs dug in deep.
Ooh.
It was too dark to see what it was, but as I grabbed its flesh tightly, I quickly thought that it seemed to be the size of a large house cat, just much, much stronger.
Much.
Clawing at its eyes only seemed to agitate it further,
Hell yeah.
and the thing sank its teeth deeper into the flesh of my leg. I could feel blood pouring down past my ankle and pulling at my shoe.
You getting got.
Then I remembered that I had brought a spare knife in my back pocket. Letting go of the creatures with one hand, I unsheathed the old fisherman's blade and I dug it deep into the creature's skull.
Ooh.
There was a chilling scream unlike anything that I had ever heard before, and it fell onto the ground in front of me. I couldn't help but stare as it curled itself up in defeat, and it let out one last soft shriek of pain. I desperately crawled towards the flashlight and gun, only a few yards away now. I knew that there might be more of those things, whatever the hell they were, and it might be the only chance I had to make it back to the house alive.
Yeah.
Trying to remain as calm as possible, I felt the cool grip of the weapon back in my hand and I carefully used it as a cane to help me stand. Blood now poured from my leg, and standing up hastily nearly caused me to faint. And then I heard rustling in the woods around me, all around me. Maybe it was the loss of blood, but as I pointed my firearm back into the thick trees, I swore that I saw hundreds of yellow eyes staring back at me. I fired a round into the center of them, and then I limped back towards the path as fast as I could. Nearly falling again, I made my way towards the gravel path that Jessica had helped make years earlier. With each clumsy step forward, I awaited another piercing bite to my body, but it never came. After a few minutes, I I felt the soft padding of the gravel below my feet, and I could see the back door and neighboring lamp in sight. Picking up speed now, I ignored the now shooting pain going through my leg and I ran as fast as I could. I felt the doorknob in my hand. Thank God. I had left it unlocked. Closing it behind me with a slam, I locked the deadbolt and I leaned up against it for a moment.
Finna be eating good.
No, I couldn't rest now. Limping over to the kitchen table, I picked up my cell phone and partially drenched it with warm blood. I had forgotten that I was bleeding.
How did you
Hopefully
forget
it would
that?
still work. 911, what seems to be your emergency? I need help. I've been bitten by something and I'm losing a lot of blood. Okay, we're going to send help now. Can you put pressure on the wound? Yes, but... The phone went dead. I tried it again, but it was covered in blood now and I wasn't sure if I could get it working. Thinking about my options, I began to hear the same scratching that I had heard for months. It was slow, almost purposeful.
It's not looking good for
And
you.
this time, instead of coming from far off in the woods, it was against my back door.
Oh, hell no.
I instinctively put the cell phone in my pocket,
No.
grabbed the shotgun tight, and headed back upstairs. In my current condition, I had no chance of escaping on foot. And if I didn't stop the bleeding soon, I wouldn't even survive until the medics arrived. If in fact, they were coming at all.
Right.
Closing the thick wooden bedroom door behind me, I used what was left of my strength to push Jessica's dresser up against it. My mind was racing, and the last thing I managed to do was tie one of my wife's old belts tightly above the wound in a hurried attempt to stop the bleeding. The pain was excruciating, but I pulled it as tight as I could in my weakened state. That was all that my body could take. I collapsed to the floor. When I awoke, I wasn't sure how much time had passed. Still alone, it did appear that the makeshift tourniquet had worked correctly and stopped the bleeding. Some of the pain was gone, I had noticed as well. But when I tried to wiggle my toes, I couldn't. In fact, there wasn't any feeling at all below the mark of my leg, and my foot had begun to turn a shade of deep blue.
Gangrene.
Unable to get to my feet, I somehow pulled myself up onto the bed and I checked the phone again. It still wasn't working, and now it wouldn't even turn on. Wondering how much time had passed, I glanced at an old alarm clock and saw that it had been nearly an hour since the incident. Why the hell haven't the medics arrived yet? And there's something else. I can hear the scratching again.
Oh.
But this time it's faster than it was before. And it's coming from right outside of my bedroom door.
Oh, shit. Your friendly neighborhood Wendigo.
Before I begin, I'm a 16-year-old male. About 3 years ago, I was in Virginia visiting my family over the summer.
Oh, 2 stories in one
We
video.
were right outside of the DC area and staying in a 2-story house near the freeway.
Cool.
On the other side of the freeway was a forest. So my mom, her boyfriend Eric, and I were all staying with Eric's parents. We had brought some night vision binoculars and decided that tonight was the perfect time to use them.
For what?
So after dinner, we gear up and we head out.
Stupid motherfucker.
We pass under the freeway and head into the woods. When we get about 5 minutes into the forest, we set down our bag and take out our binoculars. My mom looks around with them for a while, seeing a few squirrels here and there. She gets tired of them and she passes them to me. I look around for a while, being careful not to look at the freeway for fear of being blinded. I spot something behind a tree about 50 feet to our left. I concentrate on it, trying to figure out what it is. It looks like a pale, bald, anorexic man looking straight at us from behind the tree. I get a bit uneasy, but I'm hesitant to believe that it's really there.
Why?
I ask Eric to take a look, just in case.
Seeing is believing.
To my despair, he sees it too. And he describes it much in the same way that I did. Now, Eric is a former amateur boxer and I train MMA almost every day. But neither one of us wants to stick around with that thing.
Why would you?
We start heading back to the house, crossing under the freeway. We take another look behind us as a car comes by. All three of us see glowing eyes lit up by the headlights on the other side of the freeway. We say screw that and we head back to the house. When we get back, Eric's parents are asleep, and my mom and Eric go upstairs to the guest room. There's only one guest room in the house, so I have the couch downstairs. I'm a little too excited after seeing the thing in the woods, so I end up staying up all night. Around 3 a.m., I'm watching TV and I start hearing footsteps above me. I immediately remember our earlier encounter and I panic a little. I try to calm down and tell myself that it's just one of the dogs or maybe somebody who couldn't sleep. I keep hearing the footsteps for a while, until I hear a doorknob jiggle. I find it weird that they're trying to open a locked door, but I try to ignore it. They stop, walk around for a few more minutes, and then it's quiet again. I stay up until the sun starts coming up, and then I pass out. My mom wakes me up, and I remember the footsteps from the night before. I describe what happened, and I ask if one of them got up at any time. She says no, and I think that it must have been one of the dogs.
Nah.
That is until she tells me the room above me is the office. No one is in the office, and the door stays locked at night. My heart sinks as I piece it all together. I don't know if it was that thing for sure, but I think it was.
It was.
I've done a lot of research since then, trying to figure out what that thing was that night. I found two creatures that seemed to match it. I think it was either a skinwalker or a wendigo. Whichever one it was, I'm just thankful that the door was locked. I know I wouldn't be able to fight that thing, no matter how tough I am.
There's always someone or something tougher than you. And that's facts. 2 creepypasta stories in one video. I like that. Oh boy, in the first story, he got his ass chewed up and spit out. Literally. You was about to join your wife in that grave, unless in a weird turn of events that creature was your wife. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Which story did y'all like more? I like the first story. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's a lot longer than the second story, because I didn't even know there was a second story. But I like that. But I like the first story because there was just so much detail, and it just kept me. Both of these stories, they kept my attention the whole time, man. Whenever y'all see me starting to space out, I'm like really focusing on the video, and I'm looking like towards the screen, even though there's no visuals. There's just, you know, the title of the creepypasta along with the picture and the background. I was like, this had my undivided attention. I've heard about those wendigos and skinwalkers and, you know, all that. All of those are things that you never want to run into, because you will get got. Like old boy did in the first creepypasta story. But he lucked out. He got inside the house, but somehow the creature got inside the house too, and it was making scratching noises right outside his bedroom door. So had that video not have ended when it did, and that creature got into that room, oh, it was gonna finish him off. And I kind of figured that the paramedics weren't coming, because first of all, you didn't really give them much information before the phone cut out. And second of all, do you really expect them to, like, you know, well, I guess it correlates to what I just said. You know, you didn't give them enough information. You just said, I'm hurt, I'm bleeding, I need medical attention. I didn't hear you give them an address, an area, a landmark where you're currently located. Like, I didn't hear you do none of that. Maybe you did and I wasn't paying attention, but I don't think you did. No, you was on your own. That was about to be your ass. Real talk. Thank you for watching my video, guys. If you enjoyed the reaction, leave a like, a comment, and share the video. And if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel and tap that bell icon so you will get notified every time your boy Steph drop new content, which I do 7 times a week. That is all I got for y'all this time around. Your boy Steph is out.